All right. Hello, everyone. This is Omer with iVision, and thank you all for taking the time to hop on today's call. This is going to be just kind of an overview of this current situation that we're dealing with. Obviously, this has appended everybody's business, and so as we try to navigate these times, it's really important to all get on the same page. We're all here in this together. We want to be there to support you, and we hope that you're there to support one another. And so I think this will be kind of a good call just to get everybody on the same page in terms of things that we are doing, things that you can do as we navigate kind of the short term here in terms of shutdowns, people staying at home, businesses closing temporarily, things of that nature. All right. If you have any questions about anything as we run through this demonstration, feel free to use your chat bubble, and I'll check that from time to time, and we'll see if we can address everybody's questions. I am working from home today, and I got my wife homeschooling my 3 young kids downstairs, so hopefully that won't be a distraction here. I've asked everybody to keep it down a little bit for this call. All right, so discussion topics for today. Number 1, we're going to talk about iVision business continuity. We are going to talk about shifting your message with existing clients, temporary support hours. We've had some changes to our support schedule. And then how to disable inactive accounts in messaging, and then reducing your operating costs. So first, with regards to business continuity, we've reviewed daily messaging activity here for the last week or so, last 8 days between the 15th and the 23rd of March, just to compare that to the previous months, 15th through the 23rd. And surprisingly, I was expecting to see a substantial drop-off in messaging over the last few days. What we've noticed actually is that there's been an increase in messaging. So if you look at January's messaging, we did about average of about 389,000 messages per day. That decreased a little in February to about 375,000 messages per day. But in March 15th to the 23rd, we actually saw a spike. And now we're averaging about 653,000 messages per day. That's a 74% increase from the previous month. And so whether that is attributed to businesses, going the extra mile to communicate with their customers during store closings, changes in hours, things of that nature, really remains to be seen, and we don't really know what to expect in the next week or two, but obviously we're going to monitor that on a daily basis and just kind of see that the activity continues as indicated here. And you'll notice that, I've highlighted the Sundays here, so you can see that typically Sundays we do a little bit less volume than we do other days of the week. But messaging activity does look very healthy over the last 8 days. And granted, everything kind of came to a head last week, with shutdowns and things of that nature. So we'll just keep monitoring things here as we progress. But so far, activity looks really strong for March. So we are working from home. Everybody here in the LA office, they have a safer at home protocol right now. That's a state mandate here in California. We are all essentially working from home during this time. Our server data centers are operating at 100%, so there's no issues there with the colo facilities, as well as our upstream gateway providers. So obviously we rely on gateway aggregators to issue our messages to the carriers, and they are also operating at 100%, so no issues there. We've taken immediate steps on our end to reduce operational expenses, just to navigate some of the short-term economic uncertainty. So what does that really mean? We don't know yet. We don't know what to expect in the coming months, but we've taken steps on our end to kind of draw down our expenses, make sure that we can navigate this time, as we get through this short term. And as far as current development projects, those are still on track. So we still have our engineers working every day full time to continue plowing away at some of the projects that we've been working on. So let's talk a little bit about shifting your messages with clients. So now is really the time to educate your clients about all the other types of messaging communication that they can do with your system. And these include things like changes in hours, changes in operating procedures, business opening and closing alerts, takeout delivery orders and notifications. All of that can be done one-on-one using the text reminder system. A client brought this up, private shopping options. So for those retail establishments that are closed or seeing limited activity due to social distancing measures, things of that nature, what a great idea to be able to send out a text and say, hey, we are scheduling private shopping hours. Reply now to reserve your spot. And then limiting the first 5 people per hour to kind of take advantage of some of these private shopping options. So I thought that was a really unique idea, and definitely something that presents an opportunity to the retail establishments that use our software. One-on-one messaging and communication. So as the shift here, we're shifting away from marketing blasts, from text blasts, things of that nature, and we're kind of shifting towards one-on-one communication. There's definitely a lot of ways that businesses can engage their customers one-on-one. And lastly here, adding texting to their existing business numbers. So as we talk about business continuity for not only our business, but for the client's business, now is the time to help them get their existing business lines set up for text messaging. So we all know that, text messaging is really the most important method of communication during this time, especially during this time of social distancing and people staying indoors. Text messaging is the best way to reach customers, reach employees, things of that nature. So we want to really reinforce that. Again, we're going to shift away from marketing. We're going to talk about relevant business communication, right? And as these businesses reopen their doors, text messaging is going to be by far the most important method of communication as they reopen their doors. So you have to really establish to customers that, they might be closed temporarily, but as soon as they reopen their doors, they're going to want to hit the ground running, and having the existing database that they have in place is going to put them miles ahead of their competition. The continuity of the communication during these store closings can really mean the difference between ramping up in 2 months or ramping up in 6 months. So obviously all businesses are going to be really geared towards resuming their normal operations, and maintaining that communication during this off time, during these temporary closures, can really mean that substantial difference in resuming their operations. So we want to encourage them to communicate during this time. Well wishes, we're with them, they're with you, things of that nature, in terms of just spreading that good vibe. And now is the time to really work with your clients to build a strategic plan for when the business resumes. So sit down with your clients, maybe not face to face, but virtually, sit down with them and discuss, okay, let's come up with a strategy. So when the doors do open, here's a set of offers that we want to send out. Here's a timeline, things of that nature. And I think if you work now to build that strategic plan, when the business resumes, they're going to be in a much better position. All right, let's take a look real quick. I had a huge spike, but I had to offer extra messages at no added cost. Okay, we'll cover that in a second. And then what is the cost and method for having an existing number be outfitted? It's activating an existing number for text messaging is $25, one-time setup, and then the messaging is based on long code messaging or toll-free number messaging. So actually pretty cost effective to activate a number for SMS. This is a sample email to clients, and I want to give props to Dave Marchiori. I'm gonna put him out there, really kind of highlight that he's the one that put this together. He did a really great job providing this letter as a sample, and this is going to be distributed out not only in the reseller portal, but it'll be distributed out via email. And this is a great email that really just kind of highlights the situation that we're all dealing with. It talks about ways that we can help. And he makes a concession here. Not only are we turning off all automated text messages like the birthday clubs and the auto engages and things of that nature, but he's also making a concession which we have, felt that it's actually perfectly okay to do, and we're going to do the same for our clients. So we definitely encourage you to do the same for yours, to double the amount of text messages. So we want to really encourage that activity, encourage that communication, and so we want to give people as little reasons as possible to try to disrupt their service or suspend their service during this time. So there's some great suggestions here in terms of content and ways to communicate during this time. And this is really a great email that I think, Dave Marchiori should get the credit for putting together, but we'll make it available to you guys, and then you can obviously take this and craft it and make it your own if you haven't already initiated some type of communication to your customers. So I indicated that we've kind of made some adjustments internally in terms of our operations, our support schedule, and so we've had to scale back a little bit on Lori and Juliet's support hours. So our new temporary support hours are between the hours of 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific time. That's in terms of like actually having support staff on hand. Outside of those hours, Derek and myself are available to answer calls and things of that nature. But Juliet, who's on the East Coast, she's going to be working from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific time, which is 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern. And then Lori, who's on the West Coast, is going to be working from 10:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, which is 1:30 to 6:30 Eastern. And there is an overlap there, and that was set up on purpose to allow them to kind of coordinate and manage support issues as needed. So we ask that, you know, if you're on the East Coast, wait till 10 a.m. for the support calls, or email in earlier, and then that way when Juliet does come on board at 10 a.m. she can follow up. And then outside of these support hours, you know, email support at iVisionMobile, which is what we typically instruct you to do, or just call the toll-free number and dial 0. In many cases, you'll still reach myself or Derek. So we know that given the circumstances here, Derek and I are going to have to be a little bit more proactive and hands-on in terms of providing support. That's how we built the business before Juliet and Lori were with us. So by all means, you're not limited to these hours, but just know that Lori and Juliet are basically on from 7 a.m. to 3:30, I should say, not 3 p.m., 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. All right. A lot of clients have inquired about what steps they can take to disable inactive accounts and messaging for stores that are temporarily closed and don't want to continue messaging their customers. So what you want to do first is you want to log in as the user, and you want to switch the mobile campaigns to not active. This will essentially prevent any messages from going out. You can also make the birthday club or clubs not active, the kiosks not active, and then the auto engage. We added an on and off capability for the auto engage, which actually we had Kelly, our engineer, jump right into. Prior to this, you would actually have to delete the auto engage, save it somewhere, and then kind of refer back to it and build it back in. But now you actually have an easy on and off toggle switch for your auto engage. So we hope that's really helpful in terms of disabling some of these automatic messages that are scheduled to go out. Now, once you've done that, you want to log in as the master reseller account, your master account, and then mark the user as not active. And this will essentially halt all messages and also remove that user from being active, which will in turn reduce your costs. So these are the steps that you can take most immediately to adjust any clients that are temporarily closed or suspending service or whatever the case may be. So, and then Lori brought up a good point here. Same for trigger messaging. So if you have any trigger messages, you can just go and mark them as not active as well. Thank you, Lori. So let's talk about reducing your operating costs. I think there's a misconception in terms of, with some licensees, in terms of how you are actually charged. Your license fee has no bearing on the support that you get. Whether you're on a beginner license or an enterprise license, you're going to receive the same level of support from our team. Okay, so there's a misconception that people think that, you know, because they're on the enterprise license, they're going to get a certain level of support, and if they're on the beginner license, they're going to get less support. And that's really not the case. Your license is determined primarily by the number of users and the number of keywords that you are using. Over the next few months, we're going to be adjusting that a little bit in the sense that we're not really going to be looking at keyword activity. We're only going to be looking at active users, okay, active users. So with that said, your license fee, if you have under 5 active users, is $190. Between 5 and 10 active users, it's $290. 10 to 15 active users, it's $340. Now keep in mind, these include the $15 SSL. So if you see it on your invoice as $175, you have a standalone $15 SSL that kind of brings you to 190. So this is kind of the all-in rate. 10 to 15 users, 340, and then more than 15 active users is 515. Your messaging is all based on your activity. It varies with your usage. So no activity equals no fees. What I mean here is that if you wanted to reduce your license, reduce your costs, our pricing is set up in such a way that allows you to upgrade and downgrade. Okay, so just because you're on the enterprise license does not mean that you are locked in there. If you've seen a significant shift in clients wanting to temporarily disable your service, you can scale down your license and reduce your cost to $190 essentially. And we feel that for $190 to have a fully functioning software that's operational, private label, that will hopefully allow you to kind of see through and get through this short term here in terms of lost revenue. So obviously we don't want anybody to cancel. We hope that you understand the need to maintain the service and keep it active during this time. And so there is a way for you to scale down your cost based on the number of active users. So again, if you take those steps in the previous slide of disabling the account, those will remove those users from being active. And when we go through and do our invoicing at the beginning of each month, we look at active users, and you can very easily just scale down your license fee substantially. And obviously, if you're not sending any messages, then there's no activity there as well. So, those of you that are paying $1,500, $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month for your service, when that activity goes way down, you can really scale down your costs as well. And so, obviously we're not the government. We're not going to be able to bail you out. We're a small business, just like you're a small business. And then we're going to look to the government here in the next few weeks to hopefully add some stimulus and help us out of this crunch. All right, so that's really it. We ask you obviously to stay motivated, stay healthy, and stay safe during this time. We're all here to support you in any case that anything that you need. Just mark client admin is not active without remove my billing from iVision. So just a quick note here in terms of marking a client as inactive. Marking a client as inactive and keeping all their campaigns active will not eliminate your messages. Bounce backs will still go. Other auto-engage messages, things like that, will still go. You want to go into the account first, disable the campaign, disable trigger messages, disable auto-engage. Then you want to mark the client as not active, and that will eliminate any messages from going out for that account. There's no way to move all the inactive clients to the bottom of the list, but what you can do is you can hide the inactive clients. So there is a little button that's on the top right corner of your screen that allows you to hide inactive users. And if you want to clear those out or somehow hide them from view, that's the best way to do it. So I hope this kind of sheds some light on the changes that we've made here internally over the next few months just to kind of navigate through this difficult time. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Obviously, we're going to be watching things very closely as things are changing really on a daily basis. We are here to obviously support you. Is there a compliance reason in terms of keeping an account versus deleting canceled accounts? There's no compliance because just so you guys know how the system works, when you delete something, when you delete a contact, when you delete a campaign, when you delete a user, it's not actually removing it from the system. All it's doing is marking it as deleted. So it actually all still exists in the platform. It's just marked as deleted and kind of hides it from view, but it's all still there. So I'm not sure you necessarily want to take the drastic step of deleting an account because this could, like I said, could be a very temporary thing. And in the next month or two, that account may wish to reactivate. So my recommendation is to just mark it as inactive for now. If you see that the client is gone and not coming back, then you can go about deleting the account. If you ever needed to undelete something, we can do that. And we have those requests coming in all the time from clients that are looking to undelete accounts that they may have deleted by mistake or undelete kiosks that they may have deleted by mistake. We can do that for you. I wanted to mention something really important that I forgot to mention on a previous slide. We've tapered down our support hours for Juliet and Lori. And in the past, we try to be really kind of, I wouldn't say strict, but just in line with what our support staff does and doesn't do. So we have clients that sometimes email us and say, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And our typical response is, no, we can't do it for you, but we can train you on how to do it and show you how to do it so you can do it yourself. With the fact now that both Lori and Juliet are working less hours per day, an opportunity kind of arose. I'm giving them the green light, and I'm giving you the green light. If there's any licensees that need some additional support staff, those of you that are busy, those of you that need things done, that need some account management capabilities, I have instructed Lori and Juliet that I'm authorizing them to kind of do some extra work on the side if they want to help recoup some of their income for some of our licensees. So those licensees that need some support staff, that need an extra hour or two here and there, don't want to do things themselves, if you want to leverage Lori and Juliet during this time, you have my permission to do so. Lori and Juliet have my permission to go out as long as it is outside of the support hours that we've indicated to be able to support you in that regard. So I think there are some opportunities there as well. Let me just go through some of these questions here. Were you referring to the use of the reservation reminder system earlier? Is there an application here as businesses meter their visitors? You can definitely use the reminder system for one-on-one communication. I think there's opportunities for growth during this time. We had a client that received a new lead without mentioning the client, but received a new lead from a large business that was looking to communicate with their employees during this time. And they were actually in a hurry to get things going up and running ASAP so that they had a mechanism to communicate with their staff. So I think you'll find that during this time, these businesses that normally are open and have customers coming in every day are going to be looking at some of these other non-traditional channels, such as text messaging, to initiate some of that communication. So I think, you're going to find that there are some opportunities that present themselves in terms of that type of non-marketing communication. I think you can definitely leverage. Outside of that, let's see, Omer, for monthly messaging fees, would you consider taking average of past month's volume? We're not making any adjustments outside of our normal pricing. We feel that our pricing is set up in a way to allow companies to, licensees to scale up and scale down. Your cost of operations is essentially, if you do nothing, is $190, which is very reasonable. If you want to have off the call, personal discussion and address your concerns, and we're happy to do that. But at this time, we are not making any adjustments to our pricing model. We think it's set up in a way to allow people to really scale down their activity and their costs substantially. I'm sorry you're disappointed by that. Like I said, we're not the government. We're not here to finance our licensees' business. There's going to be the government that's going to step in and hopefully provide support to small businesses. But we are in the same boat as everybody else. So I just want to, everybody to be aware that we are dealing with the same thing that you are dealing with in terms of clients wanting to suspend their service and things like that. So like I said, I'm happy to have that discussion offline. I don't think this is the right environment for that, but we're here to help. We're here to support you. If you have any concerns, any additional concerns, you want to reach out to us directly, by all means, we're here to help. So I think with that said, I wish you guys obviously the best of luck during this time. We're going to make sure to keep the dialogue open. I want to start doing webinars with licensees that can kind of showcase the things that work for them. So I think over the next few months, we're going to kind of reach out to some of our licensees that have really managed to find some unique niches in terms of how they're supporting their clients, different things that they're doing. We're going to ask them to kind of not sponsor a webinar, but we're going to do a webinar where we showcase what they are doing for their customers. And I think that will help everybody in terms of giving you some really great ideas in terms of what you can do for your customers during this time. So we'll be sure to reach out to you and communicate with you on that. We'll send an email out with this presentation, and then we will also make this available in the reseller portal here in the next few hours. So I appreciate everybody's time today. Wish you all the best of luck, and let's stay safe and healthy and motivated during this time. And I look forward to speaking to you all soon.